Welcome to Learn English Speaking. Let's talk stories. Here we bring you amazing stories to improve your English fluency. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting lessons. Let's learn together.
Chapter 1. New York City in Fall. Monday, October 4th. A cool, clear morning, with the promise of a fine day ahead. Fall is my favorite season in this city. The break between summer heat and winter cold. It's a time when you're not trying to escape the worst of New York's weather. In the city parks, leaves on the trees were just beginning to turn red and gold. The name's Nat Marley, licensed private investigator. Before I became an investigator, I used to be a police officer, a cop with the NYPD, the New York Police Department. Since then, I've worked for myself. So what does private investigator make you think of? A cool, handsome guy with an exciting, sometimes dangerous job? Think again. Some of the time I'm looking for missing persons. Or maybe I'm watching a husband to find out if he's seeing another woman. And when I look in the mirror, I see an ordinary guy in his 40s who's losing his hair. As usual, I caught the number 7 subway train from my home in Flushing Main Street, Queens, to Midtown Manhattan. Through Queens, the subway runs above the streets. Below, you can see different areas, each home to people from around the world. Flushing, Chinese and Koreans. Corona Heights, Central and South Americans. At Grand Central Station, I picked up 2 coffees. Crowds of New Yorkers were hurrying out onto 42nd Street. Then, like any other day, I walked the couple of blocks to my office at 220 East 43rd Street. My personal assistant, Stella Delgado, was already at her desk, opening the mail. She's a smart, good-looking Puerto Rican who understands everything about computers. She's been with me for most of the time I've been a private investigator. Stella comes from Spanish Harlem, on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, a part of the city where tourists don't go. On the streets there, you'll hear more Spanish than English. She never finished school, but later, as an adult, went to night school. She's worked hard for what she has now. A job, comfortable home, and loving family. "How are you doing, Stella?" I asked. "I got coffee for you."
"Thanks. I'm fine," she replied. "Could you leave it on the desk?"
A knock at the door. 2 women entered. One, a lady in her middle 50s, dressed in a dark green suit. The suit looked expensive, but she looked worried. The other, a young woman in her 20s. I compared their faces. They had to be mother and daughter.
"Do I have the right place?"
said the mother.
"This is the Marley Detective Agency?"
"That's correct, ma'am. The name's Nat Marley. What can I do for you?" I asked.
"Well, it's kind of difficult,"
she started. "Come through to my office and take a seat," I said. "Your names, please?"
"I'm Joyce O'Neill, and this is my daughter Julia,"
said the mother.
It's about my husband, Patrick. He's disappeared, and I really need to find him. It doesn't matter how much it costs.
I'm very sorry to hear that, ma'am, I said. Let's take it slowly, from the beginning. She looked at me with large, sad eyes.
I haven't seen him since Saturday night. When I woke up Sunday morning, he was gone. He left this message on the kitchen table.
She took a postcard from her purse and read to me,
My dear Joyce, don't worry. I'm safe, but I can't come home. The thing is, I know something which puts me and maybe you in danger. Don't phone me or my office or the NYPD. If anyone asks for me, say I'm out of town. Trust me. Stay at Julia's place and wait for my call. All my love, Patrick. I have an apartment in Hamilton Heights near Columbia University,
Julia explained.
Mom has been staying with me there since Sunday. Mr. Marley, I'm worried sick.
Joyce O'Neill continued.
Patrick's never done anything like this before.
I knew it could be bad news when someone disappears, but I didn't want to make her any more worried than she was already. There can be many reasons why someone disappears, I said. Let's not expect the worst. Did your husband call? She nodded.
He's okay, but said he had to hide while he decided what to do. He wouldn't tell me what was happening. He just said the less I knew, the safer I would be. I just don't know what to do.
It sounds like he's in immediate danger, I said. It would be useful to know as much as possible about your husband. I learned that Patrick O'Neill worked as an accountant. His employer was a firm on Wall Street called Ocean Star Finance. He had worked there for over 10 years. His home address was Henry Street, Brooklyn Heights. His photograph showed a tall, gray-haired guy with black metal glasses. But there was nothing special about him. He had been married for 23 years. He was just an ordinary family man, with a daughter studying for her MBA at Columbia University. There must be a good reason why your husband asked you not to call his office. So tell me some more about his work, I said.
Patrick's the second highest person in his department,
Joyce O'Neill answered.
The head of department is Ronald Steinman.
What kind of guy is this Steinman? I asked.
He's good at his job. Excellent, in fact, though he's not well liked. Patrick and Steinman aren't the best of friends.
A few more questions, if you don't mind, I continued. Has your husband been acting strangely or differently in any way? She thought carefully before answering.
I can't say he has. His work's really important to him. He often has to work late. And he sometimes brings work home. That's normal.
I'm afraid I have to ask this. Could there be another woman? I asked her. She looked at me angrily, then said,
Sorry. I guess it's your job to ask. My husband has never even looked at another woman.
One final question, I said. It's useful to know how carefully a missing person has planned to disappear. Has your husband taken anything with him? Did he pack clothes? Did he take the car?
The car's gone, and he took a travel bag with a change of clothes and some books,
she replied. Thanks, ma'am. You've been really helpful, I said. I'll do everything possible to find out what's happened. I'll need to visit you at your home later to look at your husband's papers and computer. That might give me some ideas. Could you meet me there at 3 o'clock? After Mrs. O'Neill and her daughter had left, I looked out of the window. The sun was trying to make the gray buildings of East 43rd Street look beautiful. It would need to try harder. So, a normal, hard-working guy had suddenly disappeared. He could be in serious trouble. I had thought this was going to be another ordinary day. My mistake. Chapter 2. Wall Street. I told Stella what I'd learned so far. As I talked, her fingers flew over the computer keyboard.
"Take a look, Nat," she said. "The latest information from the Ocean Star Finance website."
It was an investment firm on Wall Street, the financial center of America. Investment meant lending out its clients' money on international money markets to make more money. So their already rich clients became even richer. Also, it seemed to be one of the best firms, a favorite of many famous New Yorkers. Year after year, Ocean Star had returned excellent money to its clients. It was like a money-making machine. The head of the firm was Lorraine Houston. She was well known to the public through TV talk shows and magazine stories about her homes on Long Island and in New England. Her clothes only came from the best stores. She'd lived the American dream, the daughter of a poor New Jersey family who had become the president of Ocean Star. I decided to call O'Neill's office and spoke with his personal assistant. I let her think I had some money to invest. Of course, it wasn't the truth. I've never had enough money to save much. But after 15 years in the NYPD, I'd learned how to tell a good lie. "This is Mr. Marley," I told her. "I'd like to meet with Mr. O'Neill this afternoon. I just wanted to check if he could see me at 3:30.
"I'm sorry," said the personal assistant. "Mr. O'Neill called this morning to say he was sick."
"Really? In that case, I'll have to speak to the head of department," I said.
"I'm afraid that's not possible," she replied. "You see, Mr. Steinman doesn't work here anymore. He left the firm on Friday."
"Left the firm?" I asked. "Why? Did he find another job?"
"I couldn't say, sir,"
replied the personal assistant. "Whose decision was this?" I asked.
"I don't know,"
she said. "Do you mean you don't know, or you're not allowed to tell me?" I asked.
"As I said before, sir, I really couldn't say,"
she said. Something felt wrong. Both the head guys in the department had gone. Working at Ocean Star didn't seem too good for your health. Was it Steinman's decision to leave? You know what they say when someone suddenly leaves a job? Did he jump, or was he pushed? Stella was going through the mail. I picked up the phone bill. Ouch! That's going to hurt my wallet, I said. Did we really make that many calls? Well, we'd better find Patrick O'Neill quickly and make ourselves some money. Come on, Stella. We're going to visit Wall Street. Let's see if we can find out anything more on Ocean Star. Some investigators take cabs everywhere. Not me. If possible, I take public transportation, the New York subway. It's cheap, fast, and much safer than it used to be when I was a cop. We took a train from Grand Central Station to Wall Street. While traveling downtown, I described a plan to Stella. It was, of course, going to mean telling some more lies. When we get to Ocean Star, we check in with reception and let them think we're millionaires with money to invest. We'll tell them we need financial advice and ask to meet with one of their advisors immediately. Let's see what they can offer us. We'll act all unsure and ask for promises that our investment will be completely safe. I'll do most of the talking, and you watch the advisor. From the subway station, we walked east, past the New York Stock Exchange. Outside the building, tourists were busy taking pictures. Ahead of us, we could see the full height of the New Century building. 30 floors of glass and metal, a wall of silver in the sunshine. Ocean Star Finance used the top 4 floors. At the reception desk, you could almost smell money in the air. The black office furniture looked expensive, and the carpets were deep and soft. A meeting was soon organized. Yes, they wanted to talk to the millionaires. It's true what people say. Money does open doors. The advisor gave complete answers to my questions and seemed to be sure of herself. Finally, I asked, "So you can promise us a return of up to 15% on our investment by this time next year? No problem?"
None at all,
she said immediately.
You don't need to worry. We offer the best service on Wall Street.
Afterwards, I asked Stella for her thoughts.
You know, Nat, it was like listening to an actor who'd learned her lines well,
she said.
She was giving the usual message. Don't worry. What could possibly go wrong? But you know, and I know, that's not always the case in the world of finance.
I told Stella I was going to take an early lunch at McFadden's bar to talk with the people from the Daily News. The information I needed to know about Ocean Star couldn't be found on the internet. I wanted the inside information. McFadden's, on the corner of East 42nd Street and 2nd Avenue, was the second home of Daily News reporters. These guys often knew much more than they could write about in their newspaper. The kind of news that could be dangerous. Inside the bar, the lunchtime crowd was beginning to come in. I looked around and saw a tall man with white hair among a group of younger reporters. He was Ed Winchester, a reporter who had been with the Daily News longer than I could remember. He had helped me several times in the past. "Nat, over here. And while you're at the bar, get me another drink," he called, waving an empty glass. I knew that the price of information from Ed would be a beer, but that was cheap enough. I ordered 2 beers and went over to Ed. He had moved to an empty table and pushed a chair toward me. "Well, Nat, what brings you here?" he asked. "You got that I need to know something look on your face." I described what had happened during the morning and what I already knew. "It seems kind of strange to me. One of the 2 head guys in the department has suddenly left, and the other has disappeared on sick leave." Ed thought carefully. "Finance isn't my field, but there's a young friend of mine who might be able to help." He went over to the reporters and returned with a guy in his 20s. "Nat, I'd like to introduce Brett Johnson, a financial reporter on the Wall Street page. Brett, Mr. Marley needs anything you might have on Ocean Star Finance."
"Okay, Mr. Marley," Brett began. "There are 2 sides to the story. Each year, Ocean Star makes excellent money for its clients. How can they do it? Is it just luck? Or is Lorraine Houston really a financial superwoman? Second, if Ocean Star can make such good money, then why aren't all the other firms on Wall Street doing the same thing? However, I don't have all of the facts, so that's why you haven't read about it."
"Thanks, Brett. You've given me something to think about," I said. Chapter 3. Brooklyn Heights. After lunch, I met Stella at Grand Central Station by the information desk, under the big clock. We were going to see Joyce O'Neill at her home on Henry Street, Brooklyn Heights. As usual, we took the subway. Henry Street is just 1 block away from the subway station. On either side of Henry Street are lines of old brownstone houses, built in the 19th century. We walked in the sunshine to the house. The O'Neills opened the door before I could knock. Joyce O'Neill looked terrible. She was crying, and her eyes were red. Julia was holding her mother's hand.
"Please, come in,"
said Mrs. O'Neill. As she was speaking, the phone rang. She picked it up and said,
"Joyce O'Neill speaking."
Then she slowly put it down.
"Nobody there. That's the 3rd time today," she told me.
"I'll check that number, if I may," I asked. I called the service to find out who last phoned. As I expected, it refused to give me a number. I didn't want to make Mrs. O'Neill any more worried. No luck. It wouldn't tell me anything. Maybe just a wrong number. But if it happens again, tell me. Now, This morning I called your husband's office at Ocean Star. I let them think I was a client. I was told he was on sick leave. And another thing. Steinman has left the firm. I couldn't find out why.
Really?
Said Mrs. O'Neill.
What on earth's going on?
I wish I knew, I said. While we're here, we'd like to find out more about your husband, his interests, what kind of person he is. You never know. Any little thing could be important. Does he have a home office?
Sure. It's through here,
said Mrs. O'Neill. The room looked out onto the street. On either side of the window were pictures of old New York. Under the window was a desk with 9 drawers, and on the desk sat a computer. On the other walls were bookshelves. Ms. Delgado will look through your husband's computer files, if that's okay with you, I told her. Stella turned on the computer, but of course we needed the password. Julia spelled it for Stella.
It's Julie. That's what my father always calls me.
While Stella continued with the computer, I began my search through the books. They were of little interest to us. Then I continued with the drawers of the desk. Again, I discovered nothing that might help us until I tried to open the final drawer. It was locked. But a minute's work with a small knife was enough to open it. It was full of books about card games, mainly poker. I read the titles. 99 Ways to Win at Poker. Poker, Use Your Intelligence and Win. The Complete Poker Player. And so on. O'Neill had read every book carefully. On most pages there were notes in pencil. The sort of notes that only a serious student of the game would make. Was he hiding the books from his wife? I showed them to Mrs. O'Neill. Could you tell me if this is your husband's handwriting? I asked.
Yes, that's Patrick's,
she replied. Did you realize that your husband was interested in card games? I asked her.
I had no idea. It's a complete surprise. That's something he never talked about. And I thought I knew everything about him,
she said sadly. Stella opened O'Neill's email, and I waited patiently as she checked through all the information. Finally, she was ready.
Most of what I've opened here seems to be quite normal,
said Stella.
Work letters mainly. But there's something here. The last email to Steinman, sent on Friday afternoon. It reads, I didn't think you could be so stupid. I can't believe what you've done.
Do you have any idea what this could be about? I asked Mrs. O'Neill.
It could be some kind of disagreement,
she replied. Stella needed Mrs. O'Neill's help to get into the family bank accounts. She entered the numbers, and soon the information came up on the screen. There was a joint account in the names of Patrick and Joyce O'Neill, and also an account in Joyce O'Neill's name. The joint account seemed normal, as did Mrs. O'Neill's account. but we needed another password to open Patrick O'Neill's account. Mrs. O'Neill went straight to the kitchen and returned with a little notebook.
Patrick said I should keep this in a safe place. If anything happened to him, I'd be able to find the information on the computer.
She passed the book to Stella, who searched through it to find the necessary numbers. New information came on the screen, and Stella now looked more serious.
Mrs. O'Neill, do you know someone called F. Van Zandt?
She asked.
I've never heard the name,
she answered.
Why? Well, if you look here, there have been several large payments to this Van Zandt over the last 6 months,
Stella explained. Mrs. O'Neill looked at the screen and put her hand to her mouth.
I just don't understand,
she said.
This last payment is $15,000. And look here, Patrick took out $10,000 this morning. There's more,
said Stella.
2 large payments to Steinman during the past 3 months. Over $25,000. I really can't understand it,
said Mrs. O'Neill. There must be a good reason, I said. Van Zandt's an unusual name, so I hope it won't be too much trouble to find him. Or her. I had a good idea what was going on. O'Neill could be a secret poker player. Those payments could mean that he'd lost heavily at poker and was paying back the winner month by month. But why had he paid all that money to Steinman? Chapter 4. A Voice from the Past. Tuesday, October 5th. Stella and I were at East 43rd Street early. Now we had another person to find. Stella, see if you can find a phone number for this Van Zandt, I asked. I'll look for a number for Steinman. My search was much faster than Stella's. It was all there in the phone book. The number and an address on West 75th Street on the Upper West Side near Central Park. You needed serious money to live in that part of town. I made the call. Good morning. May I speak with Mr. Steinman? I asked. Who are you, and what's your business with Mr. Steinman? Answered a loud voice. A voice I knew very well. Captain Oldenburg of the NYPD. What was he doing there, I wondered. Oldenburg, great to hear your voice again, I said. Remember me? Nat Marley. Why, it only seems like yesterday when we used to be cops together. Oldenburg didn't want to talk about old times. Just answer the question, Marley, he shouted. Okay. I'm making the call for a client. Mr. Steinman is the head of her husband's department. It's important that I speak with him. Very interesting, replied Oldenburg. That's gonna be kinda difficult. You see, Steinman has disappeared. Nobody's seen him since Friday. How about you tell me what's going on? I knew I might need Oldenburg's help. I told myself to be patient. My client's husband is in some kind of trouble, I said. I thought his boss could help with a few questions. I get the picture, said Oldenburg. "As usual, you can't tell me the full story. But let me tell you this, Marley. Don't try hiding information that could help my investigation, or else I'll have you at police headquarters for questioning." Message received and understood. Oldenburg was a good cop and was doing his job. But, as I knew from the old days with the NYPD, he was neither the friendliest nor the easiest guy to work with. As soon as I put the phone down, it rang. It was Mrs. O'Neill. She had returned home to Henry Street to pick up a change of clothes, and she had found the front door wide open. Someone had broken into the house. I remembered the calls that Mrs. O'Neill had received yesterday. Now I knew that someone was checking to see when the house was empty. "Is anything missing?" I asked.
"I really don't know. Please come quickly. I'm so afraid they'll come back,"
she said. "Don't touch anything," I told her. "Can you wait with a neighbor?" "Good. I'm on my way." I left Stella looking for phone numbers for Van Zant's. I took another subway ride to Brooklyn Heights. With the number of traffic lights between Midtown Manhattan and Brooklyn, the subway was always faster. I called Mrs. O'Neill's cell phone 5 minutes before I arrived. She was standing by the front door, her hands shaking.
"Mr. Marley, this is just horrible. It must be something to do with my poor Patrick,"
she cried. She led me into the house. Someone had made a complete mess of the home office. All the books were off the shelves, with their pages open. Empty desk drawers were lying on the carpet. The computer was still there, but when I felt around the back of the machine, it was open. The hard drive was missing. "Look here," I said. "That's what they were looking for. Information on the hard drive. But if they don't find what they're looking for on the hard drive, they could return, and you'll be in serious danger. So I don't want you to return to this house again."
"I'll stay at Julia's until this is over,"
Mrs. O'Neill said sadly. "Okay. We have to make sure this house is safe before you leave," I said. "I'll call a 24-hour lock service. You'll need new, stronger locks. I'll stay here while we wait." I would probably have a couple of hours to wait with Mrs. O'Neill. It was a chance to ask a few more questions and get a better picture of her husband. I didn't think she realized how much danger she could be in. When would she agree to call the NYPD? "Mrs. O'Neill, what can you tell me about your husband's boss, Steinman?" I started. "Yesterday you said they weren't the best of friends."
"A couple of years ago, Patrick had the chance to become the department head. He was the right person for the job, and he was well liked. Unfortunately, he didn't get the job, though that wasn't his fault. Lorraine Houston, the president, wanted someone fresh and new from outside. She preferred the kind of guy who didn't care if he wasn't liked. So Steinman got the job. Patrick continued with his work as best as he could, but there was no friendship between him and Steinman."
"Thanks. That's useful to know. Has your husband always lived in Brooklyn?" I went on.
"No. We moved here when Julia was just a kid. Patrick's family are Irish-American. His grandparents arrived in the U.S. from Dublin in the 1920s. They more or less got off the ship and moved straight to the East Village. Patrick grew up in Alphabet City on 10th Street.
Alphabet City is the part of the East Village which gets its name from avenues A, B, C, and D, which cut across it. It didn't used to be a safe area. In fact, it was a center for drugs and crime. But now things have changed. Today, you can find cool cafes, bars, and stores in the area. So he didn't come from a rich family, I asked.
Not at all. Patrick's parents had a hard life. They never lived the American dream. It wasn't easy for Patrick either. He's the youngest of 6 children, so there was no question of the family paying for college. Patrick did it the hard way, and paid for everything by working nights at a 24/7 store. He never had the advantages that I had.
Where do you think he might hide to escape from somebody? I asked. Where would he feel safest in this city?
I couldn't say for sure, but the area he knows best of all is the East Village,
she replied. Right. Now, Mrs. O'Neill, I don't want to worry you more than necessary, but I think you're in real danger. The people that broke into your house could come back. I think we should call the NYPD. Mrs. O'Neill got up from her armchair, walked over to the window, and looked out into the street. At last, she spoke.
Mr. Marley, I know you're offering the best advice. But you remember what Patrick said in his message. Don't call the NYPD. Those are his wishes, and I have to follow them.